This is an FIE Composer 2.0 help video. The general topic is the camera, and this specific video is about shooting with the camera. So we're going to head over to Composer, where I've already got something set up. It's a person in a 4 meter by 4 meter room, sitting in a chair set a little bit back from the center. But of course, the whole point of Composer is to create images, and this is just a quick way of tumbling around the person. What we need to get a proper image in here is a camera, or camera head. Now, in the previous video, I got into some camera setup, which is sort of the technical aspects of how you make sure that the camera that you put in here is technically accurate so that it can give you useful information, film backs and aspect ratios and such. We're not going to go over that here. I'm just going to assume that you've already set up a camera and that you know how to get it in here. So I'm just going to go into the Pieces Manager and add a camera head to the scene. And then I'm going to set it to my working set, and then we'll get started. We're going to start in SRT. Now, the first thing you really usually want to do is sort of set the camera down effectively on a tripod. And the SRT is a really good way to do that. We can just lift it off the ground, sort of mid-chest height. And then I can sort of set it off in the general area where I think my angle is, which is starting from off the side. And because it draws the view frustum, I'm also able to sort of rotate the camera to be roughly front-facing in this view. And that's good enough to get started. And so I'm going to move from the SRT into the viewfinder. And you get what you'd sort of expect, which is the camera is where I put it, and it's not framed particularly well because I kind of just rotated it in place. So we need to obviously adjust the pan, tilt, and roll on the camera to get a good framing. And within Composer, there are two ways to do that. Now, we have a pan, tilt, and roll touch interface, which we'll get to in a bit. But if you're on a platform that supports the virtual camera, which really has to do with you have the right devices, gyroscopes, and compasses, and accelerometers. If your device supports it, and generally iPads support it, and I would hope most Android devices support it, certainly the ones that I've been developing on have the sensors to do this, you can use the virtual camera. So I'll just click on the virtual camera button and bring my little controller over here to the right where I can get at it. And I'm just going to click on Start Head. And now I can just sort of pan, tilt, and roll my device as if it were a camera. And I can just frame this up intuitively and just hit the stop head when I have it just right. This is really, very intuitive virtual camera kind of stuff, and it's really quite fun to use. Since you can't really see me, you can only see my device. You can kind of just see what's happening on the screen, but it really is quite cool once you have your hands on the device to be able to just sort of take the thing and find the angles that that you're looking to find just by panning and tilting it around as if it were a camera. It's really sort of a killer feature. So anyway, I'm just going to grab the head there. That's one way to frame up your images. Another way is with this pan, tilt, and roll interface, which on a desktop is more likely what you're using. You can also use this to just sort of tweak up your moves. Even if you start with the virtual camera, you might want to use this tweak. One way to do that is these two buttons, level to world and level to head. We'll just sort of take a little bit of roll, take the roll out if you didn't mean to put it in. So if I click level to world, you see it just tweaks it a little bit and really levels out the camera head because hand holding versus actually panning and tilting are a little different. So that button tends to be really useful as a tweak. But also you can just use the sliders here to adjust your shot if you want to. Right? And if I really don't think I want the roll, but it works. And the sensitivity on these things can be adjusted. If I turn up the sensitivity, then then I get much bigger moves, with a little bit of adjustment here. Or I can take the sensitivity way down and get very fine control. Really tweak this thing exactly where I want. So we get an interface here that's good for desktop and good for touch. If for some reason you can't use virtual camera on your platform that you've got. Okay. The other thing to think about, we went into lenses earlier when I was talking about the setup, but lenses are a thing that you sort of would change on set. I mean, sort of the point of this, like I started with the 27, I just sort of went with it, but maybe I want something wider, and so I can try out a 24. I can even try out an 18. But obviously with the new lens, I need to tweak my framing a bit. It's not quite right. You can't just pop a different lens on without readjusting the framing, so I can adjust it with the UI, or if I want to play around in a broader sense, I can boot up the virtual camera again and see if there's something else I want to find in here. If at any point I decide I don't like physically where the camera is, I can pop into the SRT and just pull it around somewhere else and go back into the viewfinder, turn the virtual camera back on, and see if this is a better place for the camera to be. Do I like these angles better for what I'm doing? I like the angle better, but now I'm too wide, so I'll pop open the lens and pop back up to 24, start the head again, say, that's the angle I wanted. I'm pretty sure that's it. Just level it out. Yeah, that's exactly what I wanted. And from here I have, options. If this is a storyboard frame, I can actually just click on the capture image button. And by default, it sort of gives me some useful information. It uses the asset name combined with the name of the piece. So in this case, it's camera head 1. So if you name things better, such as say angle A or angle B, that'll automatically be in here. And it automatically puts the lens in here and says it's that the lens is 24 millimeter. You can put whatever you want in here, but it tries to fill out something useful for default. Say okay. It captures that image and it sent it off to the photo library, and it burned that text into the lower right-hand corner when it was doing that. So that image is now available. I can open it up in any kind of sketchbook application or that takes images, and I can overdraw it and draw whatever details I want. This is the way to sort of move from what is effectively a laid out image in Composer to storyboarding. Is you capture this image as it is, and then do whatever you need to do to overdraw it and turn it into a storyboard. The other thing that might be useful here, is the transform window, which, in this case, gives me pan, tilt, and roll values, and good tripods usually have the ability to sort of set pan and tilt and even roll values on them. Or if I head back out to the SRT, I can also just grab a screenshot of this, where I've got these lines laid out in meters, and it's pretty easy to see where the camera is relative to everything. You just count grid spaces as to where the camera is. Or if you bring up the transform window in here, you get the SRT's actual position as well. So it is 1.263 meters from center. It is 0.999 meters off the ground, and it is 0.0195 meters back from that sort of center line. So I get very accurate measurements in here as well if I need them. So grabbing just a screenshot of this and giving it to your crew is going to allow them to very easily lay this out on the set and with measurements. And you can generate both those things. You can dump this image out, and you can also dump the captured image out. You can storyboard this, and then you can sort of attach the two together and say, this is the storyboard, this is the angle, and this is how to get it. This is exactly where to put things. And by the way, what lens was it? Oh yeah, it's a 24 millimeter lens. This is effectively the end game. Another thing I like to do in here, just to sort of open your mind as to the ways that you can use this, is use multiple cameras. In this case, I'll just duplicate this camera head 1 into camera head 2. And really sort of set up what you would think of maybe as coverage, or just a set of complementary angles that might work with one another. So if I had if I felt that other angle was a good close, but I really need a nice wide to sort of set the scene, I might throw my camera back into this general space. Let's say for some reason I want a nice high angle for this. I don't really know why I might, but so be it. And sort of set up my wide. Realize that my lens isn't really wide enough to get what I want in here. So I will go with something more extreme, like a 14, which is about as wide as I would ever really expect to be able to get in reality. take that as my wide angle shot. Say that that's what I want. Take another look at it. And try to provide this to my people. Now, I mean, depending on how this set is built, maybe this tells me early in the stage that I need my art department to make these walls in the back here be what are known as wild walls, which is to say that they can be removed to get this angle. Because, you know, that little dot there is the center of my lens, and there's not much room for the tripod and the camera crew. If I really have a room that's 4 meters by 4 meters, I can't actually get this, and that's what this is showing me. So if I can have my art department make those walls wild, then I can keep this shot. And if the reality is I don't have the money to construct a set and those walls are real and I can't put a camera there, now I realize that I have to fix this, so maybe I have to give myself some space and bring the camera in a bit more. And then reframe this based on the reality that this is all I can do, and make sure that this is okay. Right? And maybe, you know, say, okay, I liked it better further back, but, you know, this is what I've got to do with the budget that I've got. So, and it'll work fine. So, all right, never mind. You know, this is now the technical planning, and my crew is given the information that's necessary to set it up, and I can just go back and verify with my director of photography ahead of time that we are going to actually have a 14 millimeter lens handy to do this. You know, if my DOP tells me that actually we're not going to have a 14, the widest we're going to have is an 18, then I can throw the 18 on as well, and sort of check again. Okay, so with the 18, all I can and without being able to do wild walls, all I could really get is this. You know, is this okay for me creatively, or do I need to find a different angle, or a different angle and a different way of framing this moment? You know, that can be a lot of back and forth in here, but the one thing that this gives you is assurance that that you're making these decisions early in a way that's saving you money and time on set, and that you know what you're getting when you go in, and you're confident that you're able to get it by sort of going through this process. So, you know, when you're done, you may have any number of cameras and angles just in this setup to work with, and you can, if you leave them both in viewfinder, you can even go back and forth and sort of say, is this cut going to work, or am I am I really confusing people with this cut, or is this cut all right? You have 3 or 4 cameras here, and just make sure that you're not really breaking the 180-degree rule in any way that won't work for storytelling purposes. This can all be very valuable once you go through the trouble of setting everything up, posing characters, putting them in place, getting the right cameras in, and then you can just work creatively with your angles until you find the angles that you want. And that's really the point of all of this, is to get to this stage where you're working creatively, in a filmmaking sense. So I'm very glad that you've sort of stayed with us and gotten through to this point to sort of see the end game, and see what Composer is really meant to do and how it can help you.